You're listening to The Signal Daily. Hi, I'm Shaurbari, your host for The Signal Daily podcast. This is the episode for 3rd July 2024. Our stories for today are labor exploitation in the luxury fashion industry and SEBI's notice to Hindenburg over its damning 2023 report on corporate malpractices in the Adani Group. Stay tuned till the end of this episode. The world of fashion and luxury can be murky. Think sweatshops and exploitation. Just some weeks back, such an allegation came from the heart of high fashion Italy, where investigations revealed unethical supply chain practices at French giant LVMH's brand Christian Dior. It was found that 2 of Dior's Chinese-owned subcontractors based outside Milan had exploited their workers and failed to comply with labor, health, and safety rules to cut down production costs. Reports also said that some of the workers were illegal migrants in the country, while several others were found working without the required documentation. Although Dior wasn't charged with anything, a Milan court placed the brand under judicial administration for a year, which means officials have been appointed to oversee and report on what Dior is doing to resolve these issues. A new report by the Wall Street Journal on the ongoing investigation into Dior has shed more light on how the brand exploited foreign labor to produce expensive luxury handbags at a fraction of their retail price. So as per the report, Dior paid a supplier 53 euros a piece, that's roughly $57, to assemble a handbag that it sells for 2,600 euros in its stores. But sadly, this kind of labor exploitation is rampant in the fashion industry. Before Dior, an investigation into another Italian brand, Armani, also unveiled that although its labels may read Made in Italy, the production was actually outsourced to Chinese-owned manufacturers in Italy that violated worker protection laws. The Wall Street Journal report also says that approximately 50 to 55% of the global production of luxury clothing and leather goods happens in Italy. But in situations when the work is subcontracted to third parties who may further subcontract it, then obviously supply chain control becomes complicated. In fact, investigations showed that workers often operated machines from which safety devices had been removed to increase productivity, but this obviously compromised their safety. Work hours were terribly long with no weekends or holidays. In fact, workers were found living and sleeping at the workshop. And all of this to earn as little as 2 to 3 euros an hour. But the more we talk about malpractices in the fashion and beauty industry, the less it is. If we move away from luxury fashion and look at fast fashion, there have been long-running allegations of how terrible the work conditions are at the sweatshops, of how fast fashion comes at an ethical and environmental cost. Or if we look at the cosmetics industry, which is reliant on mica for the extra sheen, well, a huge share of that mica comes from illegal mines in India, which involve child labor. I could go on, but perhaps what could truly be fashionable is ethical, sustainable fashion. And now for our second segment, we are going to bring you deep dives on stories from the world of technology, business, policy, and anything that leaves you with food for thought. The hunter seems to have become the hunted in the latest twist of the Hindenburg-Adani saga. In a blog post, the US-based short seller Hindenburg Research said that it received a show cause notice from the Indian market regulator SEBI over alleged violations in placing bets on the conglomerate stocks. The SEBI's 46-page long notice to Hindenburg stated that the disclaimers in its reports on Adani were misleading because Hindenburg was quote-unquote indirectly participating in the Indian securities market and that the report deliberately sensationalized and distorted certain facts. The market regulator also named the US-based hedge fund Kingdon Capital Management as a silent partner to Hindenburg's short bet against Adani Enterprises. Okay, so just a memory refresher before I go any further with the story. In January 2023, a damning report from Hindenburg had alleged that the Adani Group's valuation was fluff. It claimed that the chairperson of the group and business tycoon, Gautam Adani, was pulling off a corporate con through brazen stock manipulation and accounting fraud using offshore tax havens. And boy, this 106-page-long report made a fairly big dent in the Adani Group's market cap. It wiped out billions in market value of the Adani-listed companies. Now, the losses were recovered by and by, but the allegations really tarnished Adani's image along with that of India's stock market regulator. Because you see, just some months later, an investigation conducted by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project further revealed that the SEBI had known about the corruption allegations for nearly a decade and hadn't done anything about it. In 2024, the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, or DRI, had reportedly informed SEBI about Adani, quote-unquote, siphoning off money and investing them in Adani-listed companies through entities based in Dubai and Mauritius. Cut to the present. The SEBI notified Hindenburg. Now, if you think that Hindenburg received SEBI's notice timorously, well, it didn't. Firstly, it said that literally everyone knows that they were shorting Adani, but it earned just 4.1 million in gross revenue through that, which will barely cover the costs of producing the research. It also said that, quote, our research on Adani is by far the work we are most proud of, end quote. The response also had some scathing words for the SEBI. It alleged that SEBI officials were in cahoots with Adani. And I'm just going to read out a few lines for you. Quote, our understanding from discussions with sources in the Indian market is that SEBI's surreptitious aid of Adani commenced almost immediately post-publication of a January 2023 report. Following our report, we were told that SEBI pressured brokers behind the scenes to close short positions in Adani under the threat of expensive perpetual investigations, effectively creating buying pressure and setting a floor for Adani stocks at a critical time. Looking to learn more about SEBI's process, we are in the process of filing an RTI seeking the names of SEBI employees that worked on both the Adani matter and the Hindenburg matter, along with basic details on meetings and calls between SEBI and Adani and its various representatives. We will await SEBI's response on whether it will provide basic transparency on its investigations, end quote. Those are some serious allegations, which, if true, can really damage SEBI's credibility. But moving on, even Kotak Mahindra Bank got dragged into this. Hindenburg said that instead of investigating Adani, SEBI is seeking to claim jurisdiction over a US-based investor, but it didn't name Kotak Mahindra Bank, which, quote, created and oversaw the offshore fund structure used by our investor partner to bet against Adani. Instead, it simply named the K India Opportunities Fund and masked the Kotak name with the acronym KMIL, end quote. The response also noted that Uday Kotak, the founder of the bank, personally led SEBI's 2017 Committee on Corporate Governance, suggesting that SEBI's lack of mention of Kotak or any other Kotak board member may be meant to protect yet another powerful Indian businessman from the prospect of scrutiny. These bombshell allegations are not likely to go well for the SEBI. The regulator hasn't responded to any of this yet, but this is a developing story, so do watch out for more updates. If you like listening to The Signal Daily, please show some support. Rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this podcast. So feel free to shoot an email at shorbary@theco.in. This episode was researched, written and produced by me, Shorbary, edited by Venkat Anand, mastered and mixed by Yash Hirve. You can catch this podcast every morning on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime Music, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are thesignal.co on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter.